If you have solar panels on your home or considering getting them, then you're in the right place. On this episode, we'll let you know an essential piece of information that could save you thousands of dollars because, let's be honest, your home is your most valuable asset, so it's important to know everything you can to protect it. I'm your host, Dan O'Malley, along with your home expert and owner-operator of Cook DFW, Roofing and Restoration, Daniel Cook, and we are going to know your home. Solar panels. Daniel, are they worth it?
Totally depends on the application, where you live, what state sometimes you live in, the size of system, what you're actually trying to accomplish. A lot of different criteria there.
All right, let's start with our general area of operation, which is North Texas. Do you think it's a good idea for someone to go with solar panels on their home?
I think you need to do a lot of research. I think you need to see about your electricity providers. Are they going to have a program that benefits you by having those panels? Are they going to have a rebate program? Are they going to be able to bank the electricity that you save in some months and be able to utilize it in others? A lot of those programs are not active. And so it makes it very difficult for a homeowner to invest 30, 40, $50,000 into a panel system and not get the benefits like some states do. And so most just basic HOA areas, neighborhoods, it may not be the best investment.
Have you ever come across any HOAs that don't allow solar panels?
Actually, against the law, HOAs have to allow solar panels to be installed. They prefer them to be, of course, away from the front of the home. But if the architect of the solar panel system says that the best energy and best collection is going to occur in the front, they have to allow them to be put on the front of the home as well.
They just ideally don't want you to have an entire solar panel array in the front yard.
No, when you drive down the streets, they're trying to keep that architectural look really pretty from the front, and that's the whole desire, right?
Yeah. Now, as a roofer, do you mess with solar panels when you encounter them on people's homes?
Quite often, we probably do at least 10 to 15 projects a year that have solar panels on the roof.
And do you yourself deal with the solar panels, or do you call somebody to deal with the solar panels?
No, we definitely have been vetting, solar panel detach and reset companies for many years. We've been very fortunate. We stumbled upon a gentleman that takes it very seriously and has a really good program, and we work hand in hand with him. And his team comes out very professional, able to detach and have a licensed electrician that oversees the whole project. They are very dangerous, and if it's something that's not being done correctly, or if you have somebody up there that don't know what they're doing, you could easily burn your house down.
Well, I certainly hope the gentleman you're referring to is Austin Prevost from PV National, because if it's not, then this is about to get real awkward. Austin, if you can hear me, welcome to Know Your Home. We appreciate you being here. I hope it's you. Daniel was just talking about saying that there's a
Yeah.
wonderful man company that he calls to deal with those solar panels. Thanks for being here,
Sure.
man.
No, thank you guys so
Okay,
much for having me. We're excited to be here.
so for those of us that don't know, it may sound obvious, but please just tell us, what is detach and reset?
Sure. So, detach and reset it originates from the line item in which solar is classified in the Exactament software that insurance companies use to estimate scopes of work when they're working on their adjustment. So, on the insurance scope, it comes in as detach and reset is what it states on the scope of work, and so that's what most insurance restoration contractors are familiar with, and so that's how we market our business as a solar detach and reset company,
Okay.
specifically in the insurance restoration market.
So when is it common for a homeowner to contact you, or is it more common for someone like Daniel, a roofing, or someone in the insurance industry to contact you?
Sure. So, I would say about 95% of our business comes from B2B relationships that we've built, like the one PB National and Cook DFW has. And then obviously, we'll probably get into this, but there's about a 70% attrition rate on solar companies going out of business within the first 3 years. So you've got a 70% chance as a homeowner right now, if you've invested in solar in the last 5 years, about 70% of the time they don't have a current service provider. So if a roofing company does not have like a preferred vendor, like us and Daniel do, then a lot of times the roofing contractors will put it on the homeowner to find a solar company. And we get calls. We maybe do 15 or 20 projects a year directly with homeowners, as compared to 300 or 400 projects a year with roofing companies.
And the service that you provide actually is essential to a homeowner. So I think it's wise from a homeowner perspective to be aware that this service exists, and not just aware that it exists, but the reasons why. Because
Yeah.
if not done properly, the removal of those solar panels when there's some roofing work to be done can cost you thousands of dollars, right?
Yes, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. We have run into situations here in Dallas Fort Worth where, a roofing contractor hires that they basically present to the homeowner, "Hey, don't worry about the solar portion. I've got a guy." And typically what that means, and let if a roofing contractor doesn't have much more information about the solar company other than "I've got a guy," then all that really means is that the insurance is paying X, I've got a company that's charging Y, and I'm making a big delta between what they're charging. So that's really what that typically means, unless you've got real answers for a homeowner on the qualifications, certifications, license information, all that good stuff when it comes to solar. And at the end of the day, there's been plenty of situations where a $70 or $100 a panel company comes around and does a detach and reset for a homeowner, wires up a junction box wrong, doesn't commission properly, fries the system, whatever it may be. And that could be a $30, $40, $50,000 problem if you don't have a roofing contractor who's willing to take that burden on. I've seen it multiple times. I'm not going to name any of the companies. That's disingenuous, but I've seen it happen multiple times here in the Dallas-Fort Worth network, where contractors are a lot more worried about the money that they're going to make on the solar rather than the concern of the investment that the homeowners actually made into that solar system.
Gotcha. Daniel?
Yeah, no, I think those are excellent points. And I think the real reason why, me and Austin started really collaborating on ours is that we obviously want to leave an excellent product behind. We leave a lifetime warranty on our roofs. We leave a lot of assurance to the homeowner that, you're not going to have to worry about anything after we leave. And Austin does a great job, and not every detach and reset company does these things. And one is, I know we use all new hardware. I know we use all new feet, fasteners, those kind of things that can make a system fail. And then I also appreciate Austin, he makes sure that, there's a licensed electrician, like you just mentioned, that is overlooking the system when it's put back together. And then that we know that system is, being actively working correctly, and it's got everything hooked up back, and we don't have a fire risk and all those kind of things that kind of open up Pandora's box with the solar system. So again, like you said, it's very imperative that if you have solar on your home, there needs to be some very good questions that you're asking that contractor. Is, like you said, who is doing my solar detach and reset? What credentials do they have? Have they worked with this type of system? Are they familiar with these type of panels? What if I have a battery? How are they disconnecting that? How are they de-energizing it and re-energizing it? These are some serious questions that you need to ask as a homeowner. And so, on this episode, that's what we're talking about. And, Austin does a fantastic job. Austin, I got a quick question for you though. What is,
Sure.
So you mentioned briefly, some contractors will go out and hire the first guy they can that is going to do it for $100 a panel. So as a homeowner, what are you risking overall? You mentioned, the solar system completely frying out. Is that like the main problem? What about leaks though? Because I hear that quite often. I've had some clients.
Sure. So the major thing that you're risking is your manufacturer warranty. So whenever a solar system's installed and you've purchased it, you've actually taken out a loan or you've paid cash, whatever it may be. When you own that system, a solar warranty comes with two different things. It comes with a manufacturer warranty on the equipment, the inverters, the panels, the racking hardware, all that good stuff. And then you have separately a labor and workmanship warranty. So whenever PV National comes in and does a detach and reset, because we're licensed, because we're certified, because we have all these credentials, we're able to maintain your homeowner's manufacturer warranty, and we just replace the labor warranty with a limited lifetime warranty to match the remainder of the manufacturer warranty. I hope that makes sense. What you're risking as a homeowner for the $100 a panel guy is that on these manufacturer warranties, there's all kinds of limited liability exclusions in these warranties that if you're not hiring qualified personnel to do to work on your system in any sort of capacity, then those manufacturer warranties are void. So the $100 panel guy flat out does not have the resources, doesn't have the proper insurance. They do not have the license in Texas. Electric work is regulated by Texas. It's regulated by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. So if you are performing or advertising electrical work, which solar is qualified in the National Electric Code 690.2 in the National Electric Code, that it is absolutely electrical work that we are performing. If you are hiring people that are not licensed, that have a master electrician of record, that all of their certs and everything are up to date, not only are you voiding the workmanship and labor warranty with the original company, but you're also voiding the 25-year manufacturer warranty that came with that $30, $60, $80, $90,000 investment in solar. So it is just absolutely not worth it from a contractor side or a homeowner side to go the cheap route in solar. If it costs you $60,000 to put on and it's a 30 panel system, in what world does it cost $3,000 to take them off, issue new warranties, and put it back on with 2 days of construction? The math doesn't math there, right? So that's the main concern that I would have as a homeowners, and obviously all the bigger issues of systems frying and stuff like that. Those are more extreme situations that I wouldn't say are very, it doesn't run rampant, but it does happen. But the major thing is you want to be able to maintain your warranties. And just quickly before I wrap up this point, manufacturers like Enphase and SolarEdge are cracking down on who's working on their systems, who's actually calling in and liaisoning manufacturer warranty claims and stuff like that. On Enphase, they're asking for your certification. They're asking for your Texas license information. SolarEdge, they're not even talking to homeowners anymore. They're only talking to installers. So you as a homeowner, if you have SolarEdge, you're not even you can't even get in contact with their service department. They're only talking to installers. So I mean, we can go down that rabbit hole, but there's just so much out there from a licensing and certification standpoint. If you're not handling this properly as a GC or a homeowner, you're really you're really exposing yourself to a ton of liability as a GC, and you're exposing yourself to a lot of money, possibly as a homeowner.
So as a homeowner, it would be wise when someone shows up, or if I'm shopping for a detach and reset service, that I ask, okay, are you certified? I may not know every word of 690-2 in the code that
dot
that
two.
dot two that you mentioned.
I
barely remembered that myself just now. But at least as a homeowner, I should ask, are you certified? Are you insured?
Are you licensed? Are you certified?
Okay.
The big thing in Texas is license, right? Because it's as easy as there's something called, you can look it up on Google. It's called TDLR license lookup. And all you have to do is type in the company name, PV National LLC, and it'll show you right there whether or not they're a licensed company or unlicensed company. It's as easy as that. A quick verification process that takes less than 3 minutes to know whether or not your roofing contractors, we're using, Solar Eclipse or whatever. All you have to do is look it up on TDLR, and you'll know right then and there whether or not, your contractor's hiring a licensed electrical contractor or not.
TDLR. I am writing that down along with 690.2.
Yeah. No, the TDLR lookup is a good critical tool for a lot of home services. Texas,
HVAC, electrical, plumbing,
exactly.
all the licensed trades.
So as a homeowner, that's something that you should probably be doing on majority of your contractors that are working on your home. And it will tell you automatically if who's on the license, if it's active, has it expired? Because a lot of guys will have their license and then won't do their continuing education, or they won't renew, and that'll cause your license to expire and or not be active. So that's a really good tool for homeowners to know about.
And I would just like to
100%.
add on to that as someone that has used, tradesmen for various industries, whether it's HVAC, roofing, electrical. There's also people out there that offer handyman services, which is great.
Very careful.
But
Yeah.
exactly like Austin just said, be careful with the stuff that you may have that neighborhood handyman doing.
Yep.
Because what you don't want to do is something that might
Oh,
screw up your house worse, or like in the case that a lot of what Austin is mentioning, it might mess up your warranties with manufacturers on various things. So while it can be convenient
yep.
and cheaper to have a handyman do certain things, you should probably limit it to certain things. Once you get into a very specific trade, that's when it's time to call the person that is licensed
Yep.
and actually
Yep.
knows everything about that job
Yep.
that you need done.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough in Texas to look up on, and TDLR has all kinds of resources. Like you can look up the trades that require licensing and stuff like that. It spells it all out there for you. TDLR is a great tool for homeowners, like Daniel said.
The other thing that we haven't talked about is when you sell your home and you have solar panels on it. My wife's a realtor, and she knows, I can't tell you how many times she's had to talk to clients that have solar panels and say, hey, listen, you have a solar system, you have a couple options. Can it be taken over by the new owner? And it can, but they have to qualify. And then that has to add price to the contract that they're trying to buy out. But also, if
Yep.
you have a solar panel system and you've had your roof replaced, well, who's got that warranty basically, like he just referenced? So if you are buying the home with the solar panel system, is there a warranty still on it? Or when they had the roof replaced, is that warranty, now null and void? So those are some more
Right.
things to think about as a homeowner when you're selling your home. So very important
Yep.
there.
So if we could, let's clarify that real
Yeah,
quickly. So
I can get all into that.
so if I was to sell my house,
Yep.
my solar panels, my solar system, that entire solar system does not automatically convey. That's not seen as a fixture of the property, right?
There's two options.
It
there.
is. Here's how it's classified. So in the loan, if you took out a loan, in the loan contract, I've read. My dad is we can get into this too. My dad's a consumer law, construction law attorney. He's got over 5,000 cases against Goodleap, the number one solar lender in the country. We put him onto this. That's a whole other conversation. But I've read a ton of these contracts, and it is a UCC1 personal property lien. The lender is the asset, is the actual equipment itself. Now, do they do a fixture filing with the city? They do. So title insurance companies see it not as a UCC1 personal property, but as a fixture to real estate, even though it's really not.
Okay.
That's a mission that I'm on right now, to get title insurance companies not to see it as a fixture of real estate. So, because the only real option, and I've done, hundreds of realtors have called me over the years, the only real option that sellers have if you took out a loan to finance is to pay this thing off at close. No one wants to enter into a contract that didn't originate. And two, if 70% of companies are out of business, that means there's no warranty or service provider moving forward on that system. So a buyer looking to buy a home, and the problem is the average loan amount in the state of Texas is over $46,000 in a real estate transaction. So you're taking $46,000 out of equity that you built in your home, having to pay it straight down into to buy the UCC lien down, and the pricing on it, you're never going to get a buyer. Not never. Very, very difficult to get a buyer to assume the loan, because to assume the loan, you have to apply for the loan. And if you apply for the loan, and you're barely squeezing into a $400,000 house as a buyer, your debt to income now immediately gets screwed up, and you don't even qualify for the home anymore, because now you've taken on $65,000 more debt that you don't qualify anymore. So the situations, and a lot of things were sold that, it's a value add to your home. That's how so many of these solar companies sold systems to homeowners in the state of Texas. When you sell your house, you just tack on $65,000 to the asking price because solar is so great, and that's how it's going to work. It's going to be amazing. And that is just absolutely not how it shook out.
Daniel, is that pretty common to what you see with your wife and her real estate business?
I can't tell you how many transactions. The minute the word solar becomes involved with it, it's just. I just went to another realtor friend of ours, and the lady has an oversized system on an older home in Plano. The home is maybe worth 325. It's got 38 panels on it. It's it's double the size it should be, and she has
Yep.
about $50,000 in debt on a solar system.
Yeah.
She cannot sell her house. She can't sell it. So I mean, and that's what's tragic about some of these salesmen out here is that they sell and they walk away because at the end of the day they're done. The minute that system's up on your roof, it's done. They're out.
Yep.
So it's a tragic deal. I mean, and that's where education comes in with solar. We've talked about solar for years, and we even worked with a couple of solar companies that I felt that I did a lot of research on that I thought were doing the right things. And no, and it, unfortunately, they even come and go because the market's very aggressive, and
Yeah.
it's the next frontier. Between California, Florida, and Texas, that's supposed to be the three biggest solar markets going forward. Basically, I don't know how long it's going to take Texas to really make a system and make some infrastructure that helps solar panel installations and help homeowners. Because until Texas really does some regulation and helps with buyback programs and different things like that, it's not going to be as geared toward homeowners making and saving money like it is in California and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Austin, from a homeowner standpoint, what is the perfect scenario? What is a good situation for me to have solar
Man.
panels?
A good situation. To before I can answer that question, I'd like to give some context on the industry just a tad.
Please.
So back in the mid 60s and late 60s, there was no manufacturer suggested retail price on automobiles. Okay. So you had one lot selling a Buick Skylot for $5,000. You had one lot selling it for 15 with all the guys got all the ads on TV, the whole ball of wax, right? So you, as a consumer, didn't have any litmus on whether the $5,000 deal was, am I buying a lemon, or the $15,000 car, the same thing. Am I being screwed over? Very, very similar thing happened in the solar industry, is that there was zero regulation on pricing. That's where all this stuff got completely out of control, in my opinion, is that there was nowhere for a consumer to go to have any resources to say, okay, if I'm buying a 10 kilowatt system, I should not pay any more than $35,000 for that, because that is a fair retail market value for a system. So, to answer your question, price matters.
Mm-hmm.
Price matters. Okay. Number one is that if you're buying a 10 kilowatt system and someone's trying to charge you $60,000 for it, run the other way. A price per kilowatt should never go above about $3.25 for a straight solar system. No batteries or anything like that. Those get a little bit more expensive, and those are just more like preference stuff. That, like, battery, in my opinion, is like a luxury item. So that's number one, is pricing. Number two is your energy provider, not the utility itself, but the actual provider. Making sure that Daniel's right. They've got decent buyback programs and all that good stuff. And at the right price, it makes sense. And number two, the big thing is, do not do traditional solar financing. There are these things in there called dealer's fees that lenders try to disguise as sellers' points, not finance charges. So let's just say for round numbers here, let's just say I'm trying to sell you a system and I'm selling it to you for $100,000. For GoodLeap and these other big finance companies to originate that loan, they are charging a 40% dealer fee off the top. So if you're buying a system for $100,000, the actual amount that GoodLeap is loaning to the finance to the installation company is $60,000.
Wow.
Would you ever buy a system? Would you ever buy a system that had a 40% fee? Would you ever do that?
No.
Oh, exactly. Go to your local credit unions, do all that good stuff. There's a bank called Climate First Bank that gives a straight loan with only like a $1,200 dealer fee. They're all upfront about it. So pricing and your finance options, those are the big two keys that you want to look out for. Is that
Now,
in buying a system? Won't be overcharged, and do not go through traditional third-party financing like Goodleap, Infin, Dividend, Mosaic filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy, all that good stuff.
yeah, I don't like to be a negative Nancy about anything, but based on everything I've heard today, it doesn't sound to me like solar panels are a good idea.
It really, really depends. Like if you can get a good buyback program, do your research, and you can get a good straight loan, a 6% interest loan, like a straight up loan, not some crazy deal like that. Then I've seen it work for tons of people where I've seen it work a lot, right? But you've got to know what you're doing. You've got to have the right price, and you got to have the right financing, and you got to have the right buyback program. Those are like the three main key factors, in my opinion, on if you're going to purchase a system. I think that I don't think we want to go into the leases and all that different kind of stuff, PPAs and VPPs. Like that's a whole nother conversation that I think is just a bunch of BS, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's, if you have those three things, though, solar can be very cool. And it can really work. It just is never, it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. It's not right for every house, for every city, for every jurisdiction. You just got to do a lot of research, and it can be really great for you.
If you do have solar panels and you live in the North Texas area, give Austin a call. Austin Prevost from PV National.
Yes.
You guys, in addition to the company, you've got a great YouTube channel. You can follow it there at PV-National, as well as your website, pv-national.com, helping with those detaches and resets of those solar panels. And they will make sure that they baby all of your manufacturer warranties, because you don't know how to do it. They do. So give them a call. Check out their website today. It's pv-national.com. Austin, thank you so much for the information. It's a lot of it, and it's excellent information for homeowners to have. Thank you, man.
Absolutely, man. Daniel, Dan, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm ready to jump in anytime you guys want again. I've had a ton of fun. Thank you.
So now that it's just you and me again, Daniel, are you pro or against solar panels?
Dan, I mean, they're like we talked about already. There's some application areas that it works. If you live out in the country and you have a lot of power failure consistently, those could be a great opportunity to have more consistent power. I've seen them being worked with in conjunction with, batteries. We've seen them work in conjunction with generators. I've seen farmers actually use them for some of their equipment in their fields. So they have a purpose. Again, it's going to come back to, where does Texas fall into that beneficial zone for a homeowner to actually take that burden and that cost? Because California does a lot of buybacks. That they use a lot of generated power from the residents to actually generate power to businesses and to their infrastructure.
Yeah.
Texas doesn't have that. Now, you know what's so funny about this is, I just read an article. Texas invested more money in solar production for the grid, but they don't incentivize the homeowners to get it. They're investing money for the Texas grid. That's more money they spend on any other producing power thing. They put more money in solar in the last 2 years than any other state ever. But yet they won't incentivize homeowners to do it. So I don't know. We've got some time. And again, when solar has been really popular the last 5 years, it's been a really big push in Texas. And the whole thing was, solar companies have been saying that energy costs are going to continue to rise, and they're going to rise faster and faster and faster. Right now our average, watt of electricity is costing somewhere around 16 cents, 17 cents, something like that. I think by this time they were projecting that to be at between 30 and 35 cents. So we just haven't seen that progression of power cost yet. Now, will it happen? Sure. Everything goes up in life. We know that. How fast it happens, we don't know. The whole purpose was to lock you into a way of producing power for your home at a locked in fixed rate for 25 years. It sounds good. If you said, hey, I'm only going to have to pay $185 a month for electricity for the next 30 years, sign me up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think about it. The problem is that we have systems that are being put together by people that aren't doing them for the right reasons. like I talked about in the episode earlier with Austin. Have a house in Plano. The house is maybe 1,800 square feet. She has 38 panels on it. That's outrageously too large. She got overcharged, and now she's having to pay $475 a month for a solar panel system that she doesn't need, and she can't sell her home. Bad, all the way around. I've had some opportunities to talk with homeowners that have their solar panel system, and they love it because they absolutely pay nothing more than their payment. They haven't had an electricity bill in 24 months. They pay $212 every month, and they never have to worry about having an electricity bill, and they have a consistent power. There are people out there like that, but you just don't. Like Austin said, you got to be so much more than just listening to the salesman sell it to you. You need to figure out how much the finance charge is going to be, how much the system is going to be, how much per kilowatt is going to be. And that's what we come in. That's not our forte. We don't sell solar. But you know what? If the homeowners need help, Austin is a great resource. We can get them in touch with Austin. I think, and if you own a solar panel system, you're responsible for it too at the end of the day. That's something else that we really briefly touched on. But everybody needs to understand that you are going to be responsible for it from the day it goes on your home to the day it's paid off, and even after that. So that's a big responsibility when you have solar.
And in my short time doing real estate in North Texas, I had a few clients that asked me about solar panels. And even as a solar panel owner, on my home in St. Thomas, we have an entire solar system plus the batteries, panels, batteries, all of it. But that is a big need here versus North Texas. It's not necessarily the same situation. So like I was saying, in my brief time doing real estate in North Texas, I would have clients that might ask me, hey, solar panels, is this a good idea or not? The thing I would start with is telling them, if you're not going to be in this home for a long time, don't even mess with it, because you'll never get, unless you're going to pay cash for it. Even then, even if you pay cash for it, you should still stay in the home for a long time so you get that money back. And if you're financing it, then you really better stay in that house a long time with those things attached to it before you think about getting out. So the first thing that you need to ask yourself, about whether or not you should get solar panels is, how long do you think you'll be in this home?
Yeah.
I would
That's a
say
really
if it's
good
not,
point.
I would say if it's not for at least 10 years, don't even mess with it.
I saw some type of a graph. It was saying that depending on the size system and how much you got charged, obviously, because like Austin said, some people can charge you $7 a kilowatt, some people are charging you $3.50. But the average term, you do not really get ahead of the curve until between years 11 and 14. So there you go.
Solar panel beware. If you found any of this valuable, God knows I did, we invite you to like and subscribe so you can know your home. And if you are in North Texas and would like to schedule a free roof inspection and property review courtesy of Daniel Cook and Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration, call 833-COOK-DFW, or you can go to the website cookdfw.com. We will see you next time right here on Know Your Home.